Hey, we are here on our bus, as you can see. We're on the second floor of the bus, which is pretty epic. And we are on the red eye to Puno. And
Copacabana!
And eventually we're going to Bolivia, and we're all really excited.
So Sophie, how do Latin American washrooms work?
Oh, this is very interesting. So, see the buckets everywhere? So you basically just take one and you fill up the tank of the toilet, and then ideally you could flush. Mine couldn't. There just was some rumbling going on. And then I tried washing my hands, but no water then again. So we're just purling it for now.
So here we are at the border of Bolivia. Bureaucracy in action. So first you have to check into the police, and then the border control, and then you cross the border, and then you check into the Bolivian police and the Bolivian border control, but you have to cross the border by foot because yeah. Don't ask questions.
We are currently walking across the border to Bolivia.
We're about to climb a little over 200 steps to get to the town in Isla del Sol.
We are at the highest point on Isla del Sol in Lake Titicaca, and it is wonderful. You can just do a little zoom around. Gorgeous.
Wave everybody.
Beautiful weather.
Hi!
It's been amazing. And no cars, no motos beeping.
We are on the floating islands of the Uros in Lake Titicaca. We're on the Peruvian side just outside of Puno, and I'm going to explain how they make the floating islands. So, as you can see behind me, there are reeds that grow out of the ground, and they grow in clumps, and the roots sort of look like this. So what the people do is they cut blocks of the roots and they tie them together with string to make the base. And then on top of the base, they layer in across the rest of the reeds. So they cut them off from the roots and then they layer them on top of each other. And they have to replace the base every 12 years, and they have to replace the reeds on the top every 20 days. Then on top of that, they make the houses with the family and the other houses, the boats. One of the main problems that they have is fire, because you're on dried reeds. So what they do is they take the roots and they make the base, and then they put clay sort of ovens so that the island can't catch on fire, and then they'll cook.
The woman that invited us into her home on the floating islands was 20 years old, and she had a 5-year-old. She said she was married at 18, and that's their lifestyle. She also mentioned that there are a few that are not married, and those are the people that go and study.
The floating islands came about because the people who now live here, the Uros, which were not named that at the time, lived on the shores, and at some point there was a war where they had enemies coming into where they lived, so they had to go hide out on the water. So they took their boats that they already had and they hid it in the reeds. And from there they couldn't have any fire or anything, and eventually they had to start piling the reeds that way so that they could expand because their families kept growing, and that's how the floating islands came about. But obviously, since originally it was just one family that moved onto the water, they had some pretty bad incest problems, and eventually it got so bad that they had to accept another culture, like other families, to come in and marry into the Uros that live on the water. So we came to Media Luna to work this afternoon. We were supposed to have a meeting with Rosa, one of our participants, to go over her script and see if she wanted to make any changes and practice with her. But as it is a part of Peruvian daily life, she was a no-show because she is somewhere up in the mountains doing something, according to her kids.
So we're here in Media Luna, and I'm standing in a composting toilet. So how this works is, if you look here, there's two halves, and it's divided in the middle underneath the clay. You use one half for 6 months, and after every use you put in sawdust or ash or something to dry it out, and then after 6 months you cover it up and you go to the other one and you use that one for 6 months. Now during that time, this will be composting, and after the end of the 6 months, when your other half is full, you can empty this one, and it's completely organic, compost. This is part of the sustainability initiative in Media Luna. We're trying to develop a tourism circuit that's sustainable, but also along with that, we're trying to make sure that the people we support are doing things like sustainable agriculture, organic, and this is just one of the initiatives.
It's now recess time, and we finished our first morning of the week. We had 2 classes, and it turns out that Norma, the teacher that we're assisting, is absent today. So they didn't have substitutes, but Jeff and I decided to still go into class, even though we don't have to technically if the teacher's not in. But we felt responsible for the classes, and we had already been scheduled to evaluate their notebooks because we had assigned homework last week when we did our gang activities presentation. And so we did that this morning, and it went really well. Hi, this is just a shout out to my brother Marcelo. I just wanted to let you know that we just crossed the border on foot to Bolivia and everything went super well, and I was just thinking of you. So I love you and I miss you. Bye!
So this shout out is for Prof. Gulino. I'm actually standing on the Uros Islands, and I just wanted to say thanks for teaching me about them all those years ago, and I can't believe I'm actually here.